Welcome to another episode of Barking with the Big Dog. Tonight, we are honored to be speaking with Vanessa Collier. Vanessa is a critically acclaimed singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist who has been growing in fame and just getting better with each performance.
Last week you sold out here. Tonight you sold out here. 2 back-to-back sellouts at this venue. You've played everything from blues concerts, blues festivals, blues cruises. How does this place stack up?
Well, what I like about this place is that it's a much more intimate setting. So, when you play a festival, you're kind of like tune with very little talking in between because everybody wants to dance and have a good time. And here you kind of, what I like about smaller rooms is that you get to tell the stories behind the songs. And, as much as introverted as I am, I've grown to love that part of performing. It's like sharing where the song came from. And, it's beautiful to have an audience kind of like, you can just feel this one tonight as well. And last week as well, just like right there with you.
2 different sets, by the way. It was great. It was like seeing a whole new concert again. It was terrific. You gave me a segue. You said you're an introvert.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Clapton once said that he was an extrovert with an inferiority complex.
That's great.
You seem to be quite the opposite.
Yes, absolutely.
You get on stage, you are confident. Where does that all come from?
A lot of it is just practice. A lot of it's just getting up there and knowing. I always knew I've always been an introvert, so I've never really had the words for everything. That's why music has been the thing to speak for me for so long. But really, it was me working on stagecraft and thinking I've seen Janice Ian is a perfect example. The first time I saw her, I was like, holy cow, this woman controlled this room and she's so powerful. And I left like, I love her, And I was like, what did she do to do that? So I studied her and I studied people, even, Beyonce has stuff that you can take from her. I just studied the people that I loved a lot. And I tried to incorporate my own version of what they do into my set. And just thankfully it's become very much me on stage. It's not an act. It's just like, it's very me. It's just more extroverted me, It's more how I am with my friends than I am around just a huge group of people,
You speak of your mom often as being a very strong woman. Give us a little more insight into that.
Sure. I don't know. She just, if you follow her on Facebook, which a lot of people do, she's like constantly doing things, and everyone who walks up to me, they're like, I don't know how she does everything that she does, because she helps me make my career decisions. She has a full-time job as a professor at the University of Delaware teaching accounting. And then, I have 3 younger sisters that are 13, 11, and about to be 8. And like, if that wasn't enough, she takes on more projects. She just spent Christmas like going and finding gifts for this family that she found out had nothing, like just stuff like that, where I'm just amazed that even in her off time, she finds time for other people. And I find that incredible. I just can't, her heart is endlessly big and I can't fathom it.
You got to tell us a story about your shoes.
Oh yeah. I love telling the story. So I had a very similar pair my grandmother bought me for my junior prom, and I loved the shoes. They were like, oh great, but I only got to wear them for one night. So when I started touring with Joe Louis Walker, they were the most comfortable pair of heels I'd ever owned. So I was like, well, I'm just going to start wearing these. And they kind of became my good luck charm of bringing my grandmother with me and just kind of like celebrating this thing, the little bit of pink. It's a little bit girly, but it's not quite, which is very me. So I like celebrating those people, that remembering them night after night.
Because when you played one of the smaller rooms on the blues ship,
Yep.
on the blues cruise, your shoes made it to stage before you did.
Yeah.
And they were up there next to the
Yeah.
up to your saxophone, and it was the talk of the room. So.
Yeah. I know everybody's coming up and taking pictures. I was like, wow, okay.
You know, you said your mom does so much and you don't know where the time comes
Yeah.
from. Well, you know, you're a mirror image. You know, you dual degreed in
Yeah.
from Burley.
Yeah.
You've done so much with blues, blues in school, I believe is the name of it.
We're doing one tomorrow.
You know, tell me about that. That's a great program.
Yes, it is. So I got asked to do one in Alabama. It was my first one, and I was so nervous because I didn't know what to talk about or really what to do, you know. And they gave me just a couple points and said, you know, these kids just want to see what's possible with music. And so thankfully that started a trend, and we had like 50 kids. We had like 2 assemblies, and each one had 50 or 60 kids jumping up and like dancing to T-Bone Shuffle. And it was like, that's cool. It's super cool to have like 8th graders loving the blues and like dance, even though it's hip hop moves, you know, they're like dancing to blues, you know, and they love it. And then I've progressed, you know, I've done a bunch more that they all vary based on whatever the school wants me to talk about. So some of them want me to talk about the business, want me to talk about what got me here. Some of them just want me to talk and play some music, you know.
And you're still giving saxophone lessons.
I am, yeah.
Where do you find the time?
Well, it's getting tougher now that we've been on the road. I think we were on the road like 200 days last year, something like that. But I reserve Mondays and Tuesdays. There's usually, you don't play a lot on Mondays and Tuesdays, so if I can get home, I'll teach back where basically where I went to high school, and give back to the community that gave so much to me and kickstarted me off in music.
You know, the blues genre is so emotional, so raw.
Yeah.
You bring funk and soul into it, and you just make it a perfect blending.
Thank you.
But it's such a heavily dominated guitar monster genre.
For sure.
You know, you're the fresh face with, you know, have Reed will travel. You know, that must be so. It must be so refreshing for you. It must be so much of an honor for you to achieve the awards that you are and the notoriety that you are.
Yeah.
But how are you received in that area?
You know, I've been very blessed. Everyone has kind of embraced me, and there are people that I love. Like Jimmy Carpenter is one of my favorite. I mean, hands down favorite people. And then he's an incredible tenor player, just a fantastic saxophone player. And you know, I'm lucky that he's paving the way, and he's still like saxophone should be front and center, just like it was, you know, Junior Walker and leading those groups and stuff. It changes the game, you know, when so many people are guitar players. You know, I know when I go to a festival, I'm excited to see somebody that doesn't play guitar, and excited to see the guitarist as well. I don't hate on it, but it's just so nice to change the pace a little bit, and that's kind of what I'm doing, is celebrating the saxophone and trying to bring it up front and center again, because I think it's got a voice that should be celebrated. So.
Heart and Soul, Honey Up, and
Meeting My Shadow.
Meeting My Shadow.
Yeah.
3 super cuts.
Thank you.
You got a new one coming out.
I do.
What should we expect on that one?
This one's a little bit, like, I would say more relaxed of a record. I think when I first came out of the gate, I wanted something hard-hitting that would catch people's attentions, and now I'm kind of going for a little bit more of a mature thing. So there are definitely ones that hit you, but there's also like, hey, there's this other side to me too. And it's more the introverted, thoughtful side. I think it comes through a little bit more on this record. But I'm excited. There's some great melodies and some great players on that record. I'm very excited.
And you're the captain of your own ship. You're doing most of the engineering and everything on these. But didn't you have some help from your college professors on one of your albums?
Yeah. So Honey Up was recorded by one of my college professors. I took a recording class with him. His name is Mark Wessel, and he's recorded everybody. And he did the new record as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then I have another college professor that mixed the last one and is going to mix the new one as well. So it's I love that team. And that was the first 2 records. The first record was kind of like, ooh, how can I do this on a budget? The second one was kind of like, oh, the record company chooses who's going to mix it and who's going to, record it. And for the third one, I was like, I love the way this guy records and I love the mixes I hear. So if I can make it happen, let me get quotes. And they've both just continually helped me out, and they're amazing in their own right. So I love them both.
Last question.
Yeah.
As the newest member of Big Dog's Blues Juke, and thank you for joining.
Of course.
As the newest member, do you have anything to say to the almost 1,400 people that we have in the band, in the group, and the bands that are in the group? We're over 50 countries now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Anything you want to say?
It's amazing. I think just keep supporting live music. That's what we need as musicians, to get out there and continue to, make our mark and try and say something special to the world.
Well, you're part of the group, so anytime, post, promote.
Will do.
And say hello.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Of course.